Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bozak,
Here.
Commissioner Ensland,
Here.
Commissioner Loving,
Here.
Commissioner Scott,
Here.
Commissioner McCarg,
Here.
Commissioner Snobble. Absent.
Approval of minutes, April 13th, 2022.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensland,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Bozak,
Yes.
Commissioner Loving.
Yes. Reports, Roseanne,
Nothing right now.
Angie,
No.
Brad? No. Jennifer?
Nothing.
This is George, not here. DC Attorney Clay. Is absent.
Good evening, everyone. I'll just give a brief report on economic development. Just continue to work with the new businesses that are looking to relocate and here into Burns Harbor and are going through the building commission process on that. So I just continue to coordinate with those prospective businesses as they move through the town process. We also have inquiries into some of our larger sites still. So we just continue to communicate with commercial brokers and interested parties on that front. I did have an opportunity to meet with Ralphie Wilkerson. He is the National Park Service staff, and he is a resource that is helping to coordinate the Marquette Greenway across Northwest Indiana. So he met to talk about where Burns Harbor was at, provide a briefing where other communities are at with respect to implementing Marquette Greenway. And also wanted to discuss a little bit about what may or what will be happening with phase 1B, which is the bridge over Norfolk Southern and the route that would connect into Porter. So he is also part of the team that's working with Norfolk Southern to advance negotiations there. And Mr. Wilkerson is open to presenting to the RDC at the June meeting, just to talk a little bit about what the National Park Service is doing to advance the Marquette Greenway and so forth. So there is that invitation, and I can let the president know if we confirm Mr. Wilkerson for the June meeting. No updates to the Northwest Indiana Ready Grant. This is the $1 million to support public infrastructure at Westport. They continue to work through the grant agreement process. I believe they're in the process of hiring staff to help oversee that grant. And with that, I'll conclude my report, and I'll pick up on Marquette Greenway and Westport later in the agenda.
Let's go back. Do we want to have Mr. Wilkerson here next? 10% national insurance. Are you good with that?
Yeah, I'd say yes.
Next one. Okay. Thank you, Tina. Correspondence, Michelle, anything?
No.
All right, Tina, back to you. Old business, Market Greenway Trail update.
Okay. I'll just begin with some of the old business related to Marquette. The next level trails section that was completed construction last month, I talked about the warranty work, and Glenn Peterson with SEH did update me this week that Reed Briley is going to crack seal the trail in the areas where there was showing cracks last summer. So there's not any new damage, new cracks to the trail, but this is just warranty work. So just wanted to make you aware of that. The CMAC grant at the quarterly tracking meeting, we talked about right-of-way services. If you recall, this is the trail that's from essentially the Macaulay property, the section that takes us from Westport north up towards the river. The right-of-way services contract can begin immediately. That's through SEH, that was the award. That is paid locally. However, the acquisition itself of the parcel would have to wait till after July 1st, just because there was a clerical error in some of the NERC reporting, so the funds were not available in 2022. So we just have to wait for the next fiscal year, which would start July 1st. So just to let you know, we'll be getting to work on appraising the Macaulay property in the coming weeks. And then in July, we'll be coming back with more on the acquisition once we receive the notice to proceed. And I'm continuing to interact with NDOT regarding the CE services RFP. We're just some final paperwork regarding that selection process. So we're waiting on some documents from the state to complete that process. The phase 1B, which is the segment of the trail I just discussed with through the national park update. Again, NERC is continuing to work the grant agreement process. They're looking at some alternatives for the bridge and the route. We'll be coming back to you with more information in the coming weeks and months on that. Coastal Program Grant, we do have the RFP for engineering services out. Those are due back on June 3rd. We solicited 3 firms for that. And so at the June 8th meeting, you will be reviewing those proposals and selecting a contractor that will oversee the development of a trail operations and maintenance plan, along with the corridor management plan that looks at how best to take care of the 60 acres and the greenway alongside the trail. Let's see. President Loving, would you like to address the RFP process now, or should we cover that under new business?
Yeah, let's just go. Let's bounce and stick with the greenway. So yeah, let's go to new business number 1.
Okay. So we had regarding phase 2 of the trail. So this is the project we call the Bookends. It's funded through the Recreational Trails Program grant. We had solicited quotes from 3 firms, Avon Marsh, Global Engineering, and SCH of Indiana. They all 3 responded. You have a copy of those proposals in front of you. This RFQ would cover preparing the bid specs and managing the bid process on behalf of the town, as well as construction inspection, which oversees the construction firm that's actually building the trail. I had provided, I can do a quick background, or should I begin first with quotes and then?
Let's go. I mean, everybody can read the quotes. They're printed off. Rochelle was good enough to print those for us. So Tina, if you could just walk through the bid process and just explain to everybody what we did, and start talking about moving forward with the selection.
Okay. Just to make it transparent for everybody, and I know we have some newer RDC members, so I want to make sure. So I may over-explain a little bit, but that would be the reason why, just to make sure we're all starting from a base of information. I'll just a little bit of the background. SCH is the official engineer on record for the project. And bid specifications are in part of their 2017 design contract. So they are currently under contract to provide bid specs and manage the bid process. Secondly, SEH prepared the plan and specs earlier this year, but the RDC was prepared to go out to authorize to bid for the project, but we had to pull it back due to the environmental document not being completed. That provided an opportunity, that delay provided this opportunity to seek quotations from the three firms to look at preparing bid specs, managing the bid process, as well as overseeing construction inspection. Because of the prior preparing of documents to go to bid, we do have a trail plan and bid specs that are ready and that would need to be updated. I did communicate with both Mr. Khalid of Global Engineering and Mr. Kaiser of Baba Marsh with respect to those plans and bid specs being ready. I just need to clarify that that had been completed. And then I confirmed the breakout that you see on the tab sheet of bid spec fees and the construction inspection only fees. So both Global and Avon Marsh are aware of the breakout for the bid spec fees that you see. Also on tonight's agenda is the phase 2 authorization to bid, go out to bidding. That was tabled last month, and I am recommending that we could proceed to authorize that bid process.
So let's stop right there.
Okay.
Can we get a motion to?
I'll make a motion to authorize the bid process for phase 2. Second.
Discussion? Please.
Commissioner Ensland,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Bozak,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Loving.
Yes.
Would you like me to speak more to the bid tabulation, or are there any questions that?
So we went through, who else scored? It was me, Brad.
These are not scored. This is just the quote.
Well, who's going to score them?
The quotes. We don't have a formal rating system for this bid process.
Sorry, go ahead.
So in speaking with Attorney Patton today, the RDC, for this RFQ process would be looking at the most responsive bidder as well as price, the low cost bid. So those are the two factors that this body would look at today. All three firms do have a history of working with the town and on trails such as the Market Greenway. Currently, of the three firms, SCH of Indiana has been the design firm for the entire trail since 2017. And Avon Marsh received the CE contract for this phase 1A CMAQ grant last month. They are also an engineering firm working on the Westport development, which includes construction of the Marquette Greenway Trail within the 28-acre site. Global Engineering is the town engineer. You'll see that the quotes themselves, we have a range. And for that, the lowest bidder is SCH of Indiana, in part because they currently have the design contract. They only provided costs for construction inspection. The bid specs would be paid at an hourly rate outside of the or would be paid on an hourly rate basis from the current contract that they have. That's estimated at about $1,000 for them to prepare the bid specs. Again, they've done it already. It would be updating the documents. You'll see that for Global Engineering and Avon Marsh, the bid spec fees are higher, in part because they would be coming in fresh to the project and would need to be, reviewing the work of SCH and then creating the documents. Of those two firms, Avon Marsh has seen the trail specs because they've been coordinating with SCH through the Westport Development Project this entire time. And then you'll see the construction inspection only fees. Global and Avon Marsh are much closer in cost. SCH being the lowest on construction inspection. The call notes are just some of the documentation so that you know that I had some communication after the 12 o'clock hour in which the proposals were submitted. So if there's any other questions, anything I can clarify?
So just to clarify, this is for engineering services. For phase 2. In my opinion, but
I don't want to get into a situation where we have somebody who can become unresponsive once once they have the contract. And it's already cost us some time, it's my understanding. So in other words, the lowest bid is not always the best bid. And the highest bid is not always the best bid. So reliability. Costs are going up. We can't sit here and possibly lose another year or another 9 months because we've missed the deadline and have costs go through the roof in the meantime. We have to recalculate everything. Go back, cap in hand to NERC and say, you need more money because we missed the deadline. So that, I mean, to me, that's a big sticking point. The other problem though is that there's quite a bit of difference between the low bid and the high bid. And that's taxpayers' money one way or another. I have a problem spending too much taxpayers' money. It's easy to spend other people's money. So Those are just my general thoughts, and shoot from the hip.
I don't differ with what you just said in any way.
That isn't leading to a conclusion, though.
No, it's tough, I mean, it's a tough conclusion to come to because the low bid is not. I mean, obviously, the low bid is not the best.
Yeah.
But it's so much lower because it's locked in at 27.
It's so much lower, that's the thing, is it's so much lower, it makes you wonder why is it so much lower?
Because they're locked in.
Right,
5 years.
right, but that's a big difference.
It's, yeah,
And, you know, that's the thing is,
yeah,
if you get somebody that's not satisfied, you know, they're locked in, all right? Are they really gonna put the effort in, that's required?
I mean, just going from past history, I would rely on your opinion anyway, so.
I haven't seen any of the stuff that you guys are looking at, I don't know, but I know that you're redoing it because SEH dropped the ball the first time, and that's why they had to pull the bid. That's why you're going through it again, because of the clerical error on their part. It's cheaper because you're paying them to do it again. And the reliability is, there's a lot to be said for the accountability and the reliability, and it's a problem that this board has dealt with since 2017.
So this has been going on.
The issues that you're discussing with one of the bidders is the same issue that you are aware of, that you know all about, that you've dealt with. It's, do you want to change that process and receive the reliability and get the things done that you're trying to accomplish? Or you want to just kick the can down the road with the same deal? You're paying for it. I understand the cost part, but you're paying for something twice. That wasn't done right the first time.
Right.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's. Right. We're not gonna solve the problem by ignoring it. So,
If we go with global, we get Martin. Martin's never been.
Your other consideration is you got a town engineer that works for the town. He's got your best interests, all that stuff. We got good rates. You know, you can trust everything they do. The opposite side with that with Marsh, they're working in the middle of the bookends. It makes sense for them to tie that in. So either of those two options, you're gonna be okay. You know what I mean? They're gonna get, you guys gotta weigh out what you want to do with that though. But
well, yeah, then it comes down to cost. I mean, you know, it's not a matter of competency. They're both very competent firms.
my only, and I'll stop, but you've got an engineer that's currently working on the project versus another, bringing another engineer in to add another thumb in the pie.
Right.
And I'm not saying it doesn't matter. He needs to sharpen his pencil if they're high. That's,
They're high.
They're right.
Just to elaborate on what Mr. Hall is speaking to there, the Market Greenway has been a pretty complex project from the get-go. So having firms that are already under contract, that are familiar with the technical issues that, the history and the technical issues of the project are important. And also just the level of consistency, because we have 2 phases, perhaps 3 that'll be coming online. So I would just building off of what everyone has said here today.
if I put a bid in, I'd be here. Just saying.
Can't make motions.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
I move we go with Alan Marsh.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Since this is like the third meeting I've ever been to, is it? And I learned. Welcome to the club, Angie. So maybe Jennifer has the same question. Is it in the budget for, like, is that rate in the budget, is it okay to even? Because I haven't read, the town budget I know, but this RDC rate.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's basically baked in.
that's what I wanted to check on. I didn't want to go research that myself.
It is. These numbers are within the budget originally proposed.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensland,
Yes,
Commissioner McCarr,
Yes.
Commissioner Bozak,
Yes.
Commissioner Loving.
Yes.
Tina, in 7 years I worked with her, never would allow me to spend money I didn't have. Just food.
We're counting on you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes Mark Pickering Way.
Bounce back to old business number 2, Westboro PD.
Yeah, I did have a telephone tag going on with Mr. Mika of Holiday Properties with respect to the feedback we had gotten and analysis we had gotten from Baker Tilly. I don't have a complete report for you at this time, but I will make sure that we have that in June. But they did have an opportunity to look over the numbers. They have some questions, and we're going to talk through that and potentially reconvene the project team to discuss.
Where we convene that team before the meeting in June.
Yeah, I can anticipate that, yes.
All right. Business number 3.
exhausted all the knowledge I have.
It's very knowledgeable. And you end up with plastic bags on the ground.
I know, what is a better solution, plastic bags on the ground, or
What's the problem with a dog pooping in the field?
they're not put on the field, they're put on the
Couple of
trail.
I thought that's-
You're like, decide, we take your dogs off the trail for a
Yeah, it's
while.
just up there too, it's
Yeah.
not just dogs.
That's cheaper than
Yeah, oh yeah, it's not just dogs.
There's also,
So can we put signs up, like,
sign up says, if,
or have like.
Walk your- you know, let your dog poop in the grass.
Common knowledge, you'd think, but here we are discussing it as agenda item number 3. Old business, which means we've talked about it before.
So,
Lots of times.
let me ask, how deeply have,
Don't go there.
how deeply have you researched, you know, our options on these things? I mean, is there newer biodegradable paper, bags available, or
I think the old ones are expensive. They're only mentioned.
The problem still exists, even if people pick it up, they just throw the bag.
no?
That's,
Well, and then if you provide a garbage can for the poop, then somebody's got to take a cart down, you know,
Right.
They can't sit there for weeks.
oh no, so, yeah. Or we just buy signs and say, you know, you are expected to
pick up that
pick up after your own butt and or can, we want to be inclusive, you know. Can,
we're going there.
you know, do we just, you know, put up a sign and let people provide, you know, you would think people would provide their own bags, but obviously,
I take my dog and we take our bags.
yeah.
Nick does.
I do.
I go waste around. Yeah, because the one time I don't will be the time it's on the neighborhood Facebook page. So they didn't. Yeah, I do what I carry my own
I
bags.
mean, the single biggest reason we put up boxes in the village was to have a permanent reminder there so that we didn't have to keep chasing people down and, you know, I mean, we were having people report.
They still report on your
neighbors, you know,
Facebook page. That's
calling,
They still do it on your Facebook page, so they're still out there.
are they still,
It keeps this something. Keeps them on.
You know,
Believe it or not, it's not like it used to.
No.
no, we used to have, you know,
I can't say.
People would just pick up on their own stuff. It would be- Can we just,
Do you want me to research it?
can we just hit signs? Can we have Rob go into the sign book?
Please keep that place off track.
Yeah, I think the sign would be enough, if not more than enough.
let's try that.
I will ask Rob to get a look at the current book of signs that he has, and I'll come with a price to this group via email
I wonder if that's.
immediately and
Oh, I'm sure that's not.
let's come with a response for next month.
I appreciate that. I'll make you.
We're just gonna make some signs. I can make some signs too.
Right? We're gonna sign contest, right?
See if the park department needs, you know, maybe they can split the cost out of their huge budget,
Can there be a ticket given to people that don't pick up? You know,
How are you gonna enforce that?
right?
And who's gonna sit out there?
Jeremy, our police, our bikes, right? The bike trail.
We need them to be in the neighborhoods, making sure people aren't doing 50 miles an hour and 15.
True, very true.
For weighing the importance of it. Yeah, okay.
Alright.
Roseanne, I'll get a price from Rob. Do you want to reach out to Kim? And maybe see if they want any of these signs as well? Is that an issue?
Sure, I think they have one at the dog
They do.
park already, but I will go check with her.
I'll get a price for that.
At the park. Yeah.
Do they have bags in a box there? That's the dog run?
I don't
I
think so.
think-
They're not on the.
I think it's just, I think they just have a sign.
Yeah.
There's nothing around it either.
No, it's-
Yeah.
But people that go there, and they know what they're going there for. Take that back.
well, you would
Your
think,
dodge
You leave them
police
with-
anyways, I mean.
You would,
you would think,
okay, I'll get a price from Rob on what sign it costs. Because we have to get the higher quality signs, we can't let them sit up.
no cheap signs.
Just look like garbage after a year.
Right.
All right, new business number 2, hiring press release person.
Can we just talk about this without making a motion?
Yes,
Does anybody have any thoughts on it? Any last one?
Entertaining. This is the heckler gallery back here. I like it.
I feel bad.
Later anyways. The 3 of you together is actually very concerning.
Look,
We have closed
Do
meetings.
you want to know the history? Is that what you're asking?
No, we talked about it last month, about doing a better job of promoting and getting
we got,
information out there, and the question is, do we justify by doing it, or can you do press releases?
I'm sure if I'm directed how to.
here,
So don't you have a staff member that does that, Tina? Or you were looking at directional point? I don't know. if you-
Yeah, I was looking at that at one point. I mean, I can do basic communications and create like a schedule to be able to do that. And if we wanted to do, I think Brad was looking at the value of the more formal process that used to be there, which was a lot more like going out and interviewing local businesses and telling their story and getting that up on the website and chasing down opportunities to receive community awards and just kind of do the larger base. We still have access to the email, the contact database of, you know, the Burns Harbor kind of database of businesses and things like that. We do have some press contacts in that database. It may not be as robust as the consultant who was here before, but there are some basic things I could provide and or work with somebody, with Michelle or things like that to look at how we might do more communication to elevate the great work that the town is doing. You guys have made a lot of investments, and I think that's what Brad.
Are you trying to build more socially, or are you trying to put it out to stakeholders and stuff? You know what I mean? What's your goal?
our goal is to, attractive investment into, Burns Harbor, I mean, we got a bunch of things in play all at once. We got double tracking of the South Shore. And the press loves that, all right? All you have to do is mention that. You can be 10 miles away from it. But you mention it and they eat it up, all right? 2, we're building a town center, all right, at considerable cost. And we're trying to raise the, all the reasons, the population density so that we can actually attract some retail businesses here in town to serve our own people. Yeah, but we also want to attract other developers that want to raise that population density with walkable mixed use communities, blah, 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 blah. So that's what we're reaching out to, is we're reaching out to those groups. I don't care about renting apartments in Holidays development. They can do that. I want industries to look at us. I want businesses to look at us. I want retail to look at us. I want other developers besides Holiday to join on to us and make a giant workable thing. And the only way that you can do that is to get in front of people and let them know that we're here. Right now, we're just a town that people drive through. But we need a person that will write press releases, but press releases that have an angle to them. I mean, if you're and photo ops, we need to have somebody that will actually corral elected officials in town to be there for ribbon cuttings and shovel things and those other things. You guys may hate to do that stuff, but that's what you're paid the big money for.
There hasn't been anything.
And then also, to take pics. I mean, it doesn't always have to be a press release. A lot of times it's just getting a shot of a crane lifting a section of bridge or some cement mixer, some action shot, with the caption, work progresses on such and such bridge and send that out, to newspapers and whatever else, just to show that we're doing something here, but the whole news industry is basically in a state of collapse. The Chesterton Tribune went out of business, and it's been replaced with basically a shopper. They don't go, and if it captures their interest, they will follow through on it and ask, do an interview or whatever it is and expand on it. But basically, yeah, it's going to be your press release regurgitated. The Times is not much different anymore. They have a little bit more staff, but that's not it. I don't know what happened to the Gary Post.
If you want to angle, and Jeremy might have something similar, I heard something kind of similar, but what if between Tina and Michelle, you could work with students from Chesterton, Newman High School to go out and find pictures and write the articles, and that's a way to show partnership with the Newman schools, which you support through, some of the monetary donations, but also this is how we support our community schools at the town. So
Great
then
idea.
you got somebody who's, that's their,
They may have a
If you want to take that just one step higher, is go with the university. No, this is what they're onto is perfect. Oh, their communications department look for an intern, that type of deal. And then your intern works with the local high school kid, and boy, you could really come up with a whole lot of stuff. I don't know if it'd be any good, but it's gonna go that direction that you need, because the stuff that you're talking about, you guys absolutely need, but you're not in a place you have to pay for what you need. And when you do, you're gonna need to pay for it, and you're gonna need that hard press. It'd be great to build up a little bit of foundation around that, maybe with a little bit of oversight or something where, you know, I know Tina does a ton, I know that Michelle's busy all the time, with stuff too, so adding to their workload doesn't always help you, but maybe just that, a little bit of oversight over an intern, that's some free labor and, you know.
and that's, I mean, that's part of this question and part of this discussion is, I mean, we don't need one tomorrow, you know, and maybe a few months before you get all the paperwork and bonds or whatever it is and.
You don't need to wait to start promoting the town.
But when do we need to get somebody? And is there a way to do it besides hiring somebody full-time, you know, is there somebody that's like willing to work as a stringer, but again, they gotta be self-motivating, you know, they've got to at least come to these meetings and find out what's going on. So they're ready to go out with a camera and take pictures, you know, we can't be nursemaiding them, you know, and saying, so, I mean, these are all the questions I got, and I don't necessarily have the answers for them, but if we talk about it now, then we're not doing it at the last minute when we actually need it. No, we're not gonna resolve this tonight, but it's something that we need to think about, and I mean, and I want to take this away, you know, I mean, Tina, you've done a marvelous job, but I don't want to throw essentially another full-time job on you. You'll be overwhelmed.
Yeah, I understand the difference of what you're asking, and, you know, I was around when there was the media consultant, so, you know, I valued what she brought to the table in terms, and we were definitely in the news a lot at that time. And our press releases thus far are really just event, you know, milestone based, as opposed to a continual communication and promotion of the town and highlighting different aspects of that. So I think you brought up some great ideas today on how, you know, how collaboration might work and different things like that.
And social media does play a part in this. I mean, and that's kind of an ongoing daily thing. To make social media work, it can't just be, you know, the occasional announcement. You have to, you know, it's part of the conversation. The market is where the conversation is. That's why old physical marketplaces, you know, in the old world existed. That's where all the gossip is. That's where all the plots to overthrow the government are, and that's where all the goods are, you know, and the money is exchanging hands. That all swirls together, and that's basically what social media is, you know, is minus the money part, except for scams.
I would be happy to do it based on what you just talked about, give it a little bit more thought, maybe research some individuals, or, you know, there may be freelancers in the area that have the type of experience that you're talking about, who, you know, also may be able to do some of the, like, you know, coordinating and oversight of high school or college students. So I would be happy to pull some things together as part of informing the conversation, along with any other ideas that might come in from.
Just for Brett's point, the part of the reason that you got the money for the trail goes back to that social media stuff that was going on. That promotion was huge, and that's where that grant money that helped push over the top. That's why all that stuff is going on now. It is a result of that. When we got the award from the state, I can't think of what that, yeah, the AIM award, that kind of stuff. That all is a direct result of that promotion of the town through the artist.
The only other thing I'd add is, so in a class that I was just recently in, we did a lot of talk about like public information issue, and they had multiple people that had access to be able to put out press releases. And I think the one thing that, and maybe this would fit Tina's role, is we need to control the actual output. If potentially maybe you had a few people that could write a story, but we need to have final approval before it actually hits the streets, because they would run into situations where something that was meant to be, let's say, humorous, didn't hit. And it came into a thing where there was more public uproar over it than there was, because unfortunately, if we're looking for a younger generation to write these things, they're gonna miss the boat more often than not on some of these. And I think it's just cautionary, like, I mean, if we had somebody to oversee it, I think that's something that we need to do.
You gotta have somebody that's in charge that knows what they're doing. You know,
Right. I think writing all the stories might, and doing everything might be overwhelming with everything that's on her plate now, but I think if it was just a matter of final approval saying, okay, yeah, this is tasteful, this is what we want, let's put it out. I think that's maybe the direction to go for.
I would agree that my skills and capability are more on the, kind of directing and managing as opposed to doing all of the detail work, but as a gap fill and things like that, I can certainly work.
If you could,
Some
can
things.
you come next month?
Yeah, bring some ideas and,
Thoughts, some names, maybe.
yeah.
Something that Mr. Schwab will help with as far as the
Yeah,
school.
some contrasting session.
All right. Claims register,
So moved. Second.
discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensland,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Bozak,
Yes.
Commissioner Loving.
Yes. Approval of financial report, April 2022,
So moved. Second.
discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Ensland,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Bozak,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Loving.
Yes. Good, the order?
So I was reading something archaic this week called a newspaper, and one of the things that they reported there as business clips is paying a fine on behalf of Artsville Middle's spill a few years ago. And it mentioned that part of that settlement is a donation of quite a sizable piece of property to the national park. So I'm just curious, is that this piece back over here behind Lippy?
That's my understanding.
It's on, it's in the newspaper.
You could have said, I don't know, I could have read the lines.
This is,
Because it's set off Blue Road, so.
Yeah, it did say off the Blue Road and off the Marquette Trail. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this.
I didn't see that it was in the paper because I haven't read the paper in years, but yes,
That's
that's
what
correct.
you know.
It's on the road, yeah.
I read it on the link, but that's, it wasn't final, but that was what I read, was like the story.
Well, that's between them and, you know, they call it sewer, that's between them and the Park Service.
It's just an interesting addition to there as a kind of an asset that you don't have to pay for.
After that's
Yes,
done,
ma'am.
it'll be your issue. Let them finish it up and then it'll be good for.
Yeah.
Anything else for the order?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roseanne? Anything else? Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Bozak,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensland,
Yes.
Commissioner McCarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Loving.
Yes.